Ladies and gentlemen, good Doc back again once again. Let's politic real quick. Guys, Filipinas have officially made it to the big stage, y'all. Filipinas have officially made it to the main stage. Now, a lot of y'all may be thinking, Doc, what stage are you talking about? I'm talking about the Manosphere, ladies and gentlemen. Filipinas have now infiltrated the Manosphere. Alright, now I know this particular topic is long overdue, but I think it's about time that we tap in and actually get an understanding of what this could potentially mean. Now, I want to say it was sometime last year. One of my favorite YouTubers to watch every now and again, a young man by the name of Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. I think he's just slightly older than me, but a young brother in his own right. He managed to do a review of a particular young lady that many of you guys are familiar with. He did a video review of her particular video, and in my opinion, I think that was what somewhat set the stage for where we are today. Because if you guys know Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, this particular gentleman definitely caters to what I would like to refer to as the young man's crowd. We're talking about anybody in their late to mid 40s, maybe a little bit older, but definitely within that range and younger. And I think that would constitute more or less the young gentlemen or the young men that make up the Manosphere. Of course, you could be 50, 60, 70, 80 years of age, but I think that if you're in your mid 40s or so and younger, that would definitely constitute you as a younger man, especially when it comes to the travel community or the guys that are traveling to the Philippines at this time, if you wanted to average out what would be the average age of the traveler. Okay? Now, because he caters to such a younger crowd, he now put eyes on women in the Philippines when he did his particular review of that particular young lady's video. And I've come across probably a couple of other people that may have touched on that particular subject or also reviewed that video, and they also somewhat have ties to the Manosphere as well. And I believe that because of that, and because Filipinas are now starting to become not a focal point, of course, but definitely a talking point within the Manosphere, it now opens the door for a lot of younger guys traveling to the Philippines as we speak. Now, I put out a couple of videos in reference to do Filipinas like older guys and younger guys, having a little fun, throwing out a couple of ideas of why they would go for one way or the other. And also we talked about how the Philippines is no longer the old man's game, man. The Philippines is now a young man's game. Of course, it can still go both ways. We're just having fun, y'all. So many out there, so many Filipinos out there, so we can all get ours, young, old, or indifferent. Nothing to be, choppy about or, chapped about. But I do believe that the talking points or the fact that there are conversations within the Manosphere that include Filipinas in it, I think that is definitely going to transcend and definitely going to open the minds of guys who are looking to travel in the near future. Philippines just reopened, y'all. Maybe guys aren't ready to go there yet because of all the, stipulations, rules, and regulations that come with travel to the Philippines, but they have now officially put the Philippines on their map. And I do believe that was courtesy of a young brother by the name of Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. Not to mention my boy Richie Mac, though, over there in Zoom to Thailand. I also believe he was definitely intricate in bringing eyes to foreign countries, not just Filipinas, but to foreign women in general, more specifically Asian foreign women, seeing as though his young lady is Thai, right? Now, when he burst onto the scene, you had Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews talking about him as well. You also had, I think, my brother O'Shea Duke Jackson, who has blessed me with a couple of interviews to be able to talk about the Philippines myself. Much love to my big bro. And also he's been featured on The Lead Attorney recently. And also I believe there were a couple of other brothers that touched on, his particular journey and experience in Thailand. And again, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily try to put Richie Mac into a particular young man or old man category. I wouldn't do that. But I do believe that his content does cater also to a younger crowd as well. Also to an older crowd as well. And it's opening the eyes of and bringing Filipinas, Thai women, and Asian women in general to the forefront. It's now an opportunity for guys to flex their options and opportunities to deal with women from other ethnic backgrounds. I do believe that most of the main talking points within the manosphere, a lot of guys are fed up with dealing with women in the West, and I do believe that's going to be the narrative for a few years to come. And the fact that when MTR, we're going to shorten it up, talked about some of the main qualities that you find in Asian women, and your boy Richie Mack showed his particular young lady doing the things that he said that she was doing for him, cooking and cleaning and taking care of him, letting him have his his space and his peace and everything. I believe that really did shine a light on women in Asia, more specifically women in Asia now within the focal point of the manosphere. I do believe that even my boy, Mike told me that Rollo Tomasi, I can't find that clip yet, but I think he's even mentioned Filipinas before. Granted, we're talking about two different manospheres here, Black Manosphere and the Greater Manosphere, of course. Altogether, you're starting to understand what's happening, and I think you guys are starting to see the trend. I hope that you're starting to see the trend. I believe that it's long overdue. I believe that a lot of guys are definitely tired of dealing with women in the West, period. Black, white, or indifferent. It's becoming unbearable at times, and when you realize that there are other women around the world that don't have the same demands as women in the West, but are willing to contribute and or do 10 times more than women in the West without all the demands and all of that extra shit, it's almost like, why haven't I been considering this for years now? Why am I just now coming to terms with the fact that maybe dating in the West is just not for me? Why did it take this fucking long for me to come to this conclusion? And I think that because they have that mindset, a lot of gentlemen, maybe not all, guys are now starting to open up. Guys are now starting to see the bigger picture and seeing what all of us have been talking about for the last years. I've been on YouTube since 2017. I've been spewing the same rhetoric since 2017, y'all. And only now you're starting to see it really take off, because now you have guys who have larger audiences and guys who have, wider reaches and things like that, and different connects and networks that, you now can see, okay, they're not playing anymore. These gentlemen are about that shit. And they're about that shit, and they're talking about that shit, the shit that they're seeing and the things that they're experiencing. And now it's opening up everybody's eyes. Now, everybody who comes across the particular videos that talk about Filipinas in general, that doesn't necessarily mean they're all going to travel. But I do believe that if even 10% of the people who were reached, by that particular video or by any particular video where Filipinas are being mentioned in reference to the characteristics of why they are capable partners, or why they are, what I would like to call, how can I say this? I wouldn't say reliable partners, it's not the right word of choice, but why they are definitely in the running to be up there in reference to qualities that a lot of guys are looking for in women, you're going to start to see a lot more guys travel to the Philippines. You're going to start to see a lot of guys traveling to Thailand, a lot of guys traveling to Japan. And this isn't so much a pit between Thailand and the Philippines and all of that shit. It's nothing. I think that we all win. I truly do. I think that as long as gentlemen exercise their options to actually get out here and see some shit, I think it's a W regardless of where you end up at. Because now you have made the decision in your life not to settle. You've made the decision in your life that says, man, fuck this, man. I'm tired of this shit. I'm not going to go through this shit anymore. I'm ready for something new. And as long as you're ready for something new, the Philippines and places like it definitely have something for you. And that's where I'm going to leave it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. Right? Doc would highly appreciate that one. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, check me out on Patreon. Check out all of my good stuff listed in the link in the description there below. Time for the good doc to go and get the getting. With that being said, good doc is officially out. At least nako paalam, which means I am going now. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Peace.